almost since I moved to be in-house, I think only one role that I've had came to me without networking. Almost every single role I have had has been because I've worked with someone that has introduced me or taken me with them to the next company. And I view networking, I don't like the word networking. It stokes fear in people. Like, how do I do this? I don't know what to do. To me, it's like making friends with people. And I view networking like growing a garden. You have to plant seeds and you have to water it and add fertilizer and sometimes those seeds sprout quickly and sometimes they take a month and sometimes they take years. I mean, we planted an avocado tree and it took 5 years for us to even get one avocado. So I view that like networking. So many of my most trusted connections are people that I've known for more than 10 years, sometimes 20 years, and we help each other. And so in my case, even my most current role that I got at Grammarly came through networking. And most of these roles that I've either interviewed for or taken were not publicized anywhere. I would not have known about them. Especially as you get more senior, I find that a lot of companies will not post executive level roles online. They go through headhunters, they go through connections. In my case with Grammarly, I was introduced directly to the CEO and we met for coffee. And a couple months later, he came back to me and said, okay, now we're ready to look for a general counsel. Will you talk with us? So I would never have known about the role had it not been for that introduction some months prior. And the person that introduced me to the CEO, I had known for years. So it was something that really came over time. And I didn't have an expectation that the person that I was friends with for years would make this level of introduction for me. It just happened because we developed a relationship. So for me, networking is like a garden and it's all about building relationships. You help people, they help you back. And then networking is for more than that, actually. It's for benchmarking, it's for finding, like Sumeet was saying, finding intel and insight into different companies that you might be talking to. And then eventually it might lead to a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, I wanted to, in this world of being super remote, go back to even the networking that you have within the four walls of your company, right? I went to a startup launch yesterday. Masari's in town, so a lot of crypto's happening, but a startup launch of a couple of people that I worked with at Coinbase. And what I realized is almost everybody around them worked at Coinbase and also are now getting sucked into the company. So that just shows you, and one of them is our GC and who we played golf with on Friday, Ashish. It's actually the people that you work with that understand your work ethic that end up sprouting to different places that ends up being a really strong network, right? And what they saw when they're in the trenches with you, how hardworking you were, how savvy you were, starts to go to these other companies, and then the discussion about you also happens at these other companies. So I think that we all go to these events and we network and we meet people, and there's really good relationships that we build. But a lot of times it's the people that were working right next to you, especially when you're young and you're at that law firm or you're at that startup at the beginning, that understand your work ethic, understand what you've become, seeing the other parts of you that have developed. And they say, I know a person that could step right into this role. So I think in this world now that we live in, where it's a little bit tougher to have that bond outside of a Zoom, I think we got to go back to thinking about how do we show the people around us that we're primed for that next role, because they may be the ones that say, I know a person.
A couple of things. After law school and studying for the bar, I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted. I was so tired. I was near burnout, starting in big law. And I just could not take the same approach to networking like I did prior to law school. And so I tried to develop something that was called like a chill network vibe, if you will. And it consisted of two things. One, to Sumeet's point, it was networking across. I think it's so much, we're always thinking we need to network up, we need to network with the GCs, et cetera. And you definitely should, to Jennifer's point. But I put a greater emphasis on networking across because it was a bit more chill. We could just hop on a Zoom. I didn't have to like button up and send my resume and do all these, questions and look things up. It was more like, let me just connect with folks who are at my level in law school or at big law or in-house, who who are 1 to 2 years above and kind of 1 to 2 years below, and just get to know each other. And kind of to Sumeet's point, we started to build this really great connection. We would see each other out, not just at working events, but we would see each other out at parties and different, kind of personal events. And then now here I am, I'm going into what would just be my 5th year. And I have people reaching out to me on LinkedIn, and they're my colleagues. They're already like GCs for small startups or legal directors for smaller startups, right? Like they're already on the way up the ladder. And so kind of networking across took that pressure off so I could really balance that in my career while also feeling like I'm making the connections that I need to move forward. And then I think the second part was, if I just didn't have the energy or capacity to network up, when I was actually looking for the position, that's when I would go into the kill with the particular networking. Because I think, and I think, Jennifer and Sumeet would agree, when folks reach out, I think it really shows that you're on top of it, that you're engaged, and people are willing to network with you at the moment you're looking for a position, and then are willing to back channel for you for that particular job, even if it's just a cold outreach. And so that's kind of been my balance for the chill network vibe, so I can balance everything and still feel like I'm moving my career forward.
Absolutely, yes, to everything Danielle said. But I would also add that going in for that ask is much, much easier when you've already developed that relationship. And I know we'll talk a little bit more, I think, about this later, about how do you reach out and how do you do so effectively. It's using that network to leverage people that know you and can speak for you in that moment. And I think it's a very much a two-way street. It has to be developed over time. And I love what you said, Danielle, about networking across instead of just up, because that's how you develop your community. And that's how you find those people that you learn from, not just get jobs from, but you learn from. You can reach out and benchmark and get introductions. Say you need a good law firm for a certain matter. You can ask, who does this? Who do you recommend? It just helps on so many levels. And then over time, you realize, gosh, I know a lot of people here. And that is so valuable, so valuable.